5 2-ingredient dough recipes that you are not gonna wanna miss. Not only is 2-ingredient dough easy to make, it is also low in calorie and it works perfectly with Weight Watchers. I found all of these recipes through the WW app. They're all different, but all absolutely delicious. This is everything pigs in a blanket. In a bowl, I'm adding 3/4 cup of self-rising flour and 1/2 cup of plain non-fat Greek yogurt. I'm gonna give this a stir, then I'm gonna mix it with my hands for about 2 minutes. And then I'm gonna let the dough rest for 5 minutes. While the dough is resting, I'm gonna preheat my oven to 425. I have found with the 2-ingredient dough that it is pretty sticky. So definitely wanna remove your rings. And also you can add a little tiny bit of flour at a time, maybe like a 1/2 teaspoon, a teaspoon at a time, so it's not so sticky, and that really helps to be able to work with it. I'm keeping the bag of flour right by me, so as I'm working with the dough, if I need to, I can just grab a little bit, sprinkle it in, and just keep working with it. So I am just turning it like this. You can see how sticky it is. It's not as sticky as some of them I've had, but it's helping pick up all that flour in the bowl. Just be patient working with this dough because the end results are worth it. I have a turkey hot dog. I've cut it into 4s. What I did was I cut first in the middle and then I cut these two on the ends so they're even. I have the dough on a lightly floured surface. I'm gonna lightly flour my rolling pin and I'm going to roll this out into a rectangle as best I can. Now I'm gonna cut the dough in half and I'm gonna cut it into 1-inch strips. I'm taking one piece of the hot dog and I'm gonna wrap that around it, creating a blanket effect. Look at that, isn't that adorable? I'm gonna continue to do this until all of my hot dogs are wrapped up. Have a little bit of egg wash. I'm gonna brush that onto the 2-ingredient dough and then sprinkle some everything bagel seasoning. I purchased mine at Walmart. It's just the Great Value brand. I think it looks like birdseed, but it is one of our favorite flavors to put on bagels. And now I'm excited that I get to put them on these little hot dogs too. Okay, let me show you what I'm doing. I'm putting a little bit of the everything bagel seasoning on my cutting board. I already did the egg wash on the hot dog and I'm just kind of rolling it like this, so much easier. Then I don't have to worry about getting, you know, flour or anything into my everything bagel seasoning. Ta-da! I'm transferring my hot dogs onto a cookie sheet and I'm baking them for 15 minutes. Can you hear that sizzle? Oh man, these are fresh out of the oven. They look and smell fantastic. For 2 pigs in a blanket and 1 teaspoon of mustard, it is 2 points. You're going to want to pour yourself a cup of coffee to go along with this next one. First thing this morning, I made an apple turnover. Man, oh man, was it a good breakfast. This is how I made it. You need 1 medium-sized apple, peeled and thinly sliced. In a medium bowl, I'm adding a 1/4 cup of self-rising flour and a 1/4 cup of plain non-fat Greek yogurt. I'm using Chobani. I'm gonna give this a quick stir and I'm gonna use my hands just to give this a really good mix. It says to knead it, but it's so sticky I just might have to add a little bit more flour. I have a little bit of flour added to my cutting board. I'm gonna roll this around in the flour, making it not so sticky. I put just a very light dusting of flour on my rolling pin so that the dough doesn't stick to it. I'm gonna roll this out into a rectangle as best I can. We'll see how I do here. Well, that's good enough, right? Okay, I'm gonna set this aside. In a bowl, I am placing those sliced apples along with a tablespoon of monk fruit sugar. I find mine on Amazon. I'll have it linked below. 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon and a pinch of salt. I'm gonna toss this to get it all coated. Bring in my 2-ingredient dough back. I'm gonna put these apples onto this dough. I'm gonna place it like this. I'm gonna try to do a triangle. Oh, mercy. Mine does not look like a turnover. Mine looks like a little blob of deliciousness. It smells really good. It's gonna taste fine. When I make this again, I wanna use less apple. I think I would go with a small apple instead of a medium apple. The filling was just a little too much to work with, but I did it. Okay, so it's in my air fryer. I have whisked 1 egg. I'm gonna brush that over the top of my little apple. I should call it an apple like fritter instead of a turnover because it looks more like it's the shape of a fritter. We're gonna put this in for 8 minutes on 390. Let's take a peek. Ooh, that looks really good. Oh yes, this is going to go perfectly with my coffee. And for 1 whole turnover, it is only 3 points. Let's make some urban cheese breadsticks. In a mixing bowl, I'm adding 1 cup of self-rising flour, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm gonna give that a good mix. Now I'm adding 3/4 cup plain non-fat Greek yogurt. I'm gonna mix this together really well, and then I'm going to knead it with my hands in the bowl. There's a lot of little bits in the bottom of the bowl that I wanna incorporate into this dough. We really like breadsticks. We have breadsticks on the side of a lot of our meals. So I'm looking very forward to these. I mean, look at the seasonings going throughout this dough. You know that's gonna be a good one. I rolled the dough out onto a lightly floured surface, and I'm gonna use my pizza cutter. I am going to make 8 strips out of this dough. So I'm gonna start off by cutting it in the middle, and then I'll go 4 this way and 4 this way. Now that I have them cut, I'm going to twist each one just a little bit. This dough is pretty easy to work with. It's not even breaking apart. Ooh, that one's pretty. In a bowl, I am adding 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil, 1/2 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Mix this together. I'm going to brush each one of these breadsticks with the oil mixture and sprinkle on 1.5 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. Actually, I don't trust myself. I'm gonna go this way and sprinkle it on like this. I know if I'd have kept it in the spoon, I would have just dumped the Parmesan all over the breadsticks. So this makes sense, and it's a lot easier to control that cheese. I also put these on parchment paper. Now I'm going to put these in my oven, which has been preheated to 375 for about 18 to 20 minutes. While those are baking up, let's make some funnel cakes. I am adding 1 cup of self-rising flour to a bowl and 1 cup of non-fat plain Greek yogurt. I am also adding 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm going to mix this together, and then I will knead the dough. I think at this point, making these recipes back to back, about every surface of my kitchen is covered with flour. I am washing the dishes as I go between each of the recipes, but oh man, me and flour, we just don't get along. It just is, it's everywhere. It's even on my air fryer. The instructions to this recipe says that we can add a tablespoon, 1 tablespoon at a time of the flour to help the dough not be too sticky. So I will do that along the way if I need it. If I don't, I'm just gonna leave it out. I have my dough on a lightly floured piece of parchment paper, and I'm going to cut my dough into 4 pieces. I'm gonna try to get them as even as possible. Now I'm going to take each of these pieces and I'm going to break them into 6 pieces. I'm gonna go 1/2 and then 3. Look at me. I'm accomplishing things today. I'm keeping them in groups of 6 because each one is going to be a funnel cake. So I'm gonna take one of these pieces, put some flour on my parchment, and I'm going to roll each piece into a long, thin strip. I tried to kind of give them a little pull to make them longer, but they pull apart, so I advise not to do that. Now it says to shape each of these pieces into like a funnel cake look. I'm thinking something like that maybe. Kind of looks like a donut, like a bear claw. I'm gonna spray my air fryer basket. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, when I made the apple turnovers, I should have sprayed the basket for that too. It didn't say to spray the basket, so I didn't. But when I make that again, I will spray the basket. So just giving you a little heads up. I'm gonna put the air fryer to 5 minutes on 375. Wow, do these ever smell so, so good. They smell like a funnel cake, that is for sure. And now you top them with just a little bit of powdered sugar. 1 funnel cake is 4 points. Don't those just make your mouth water? Mine too. The breadsticks just came out piping hot from the oven. For 1 breadstick, it is 3 points. Let's make garlic naan. In a bowl, I'm adding 3/4 cup of plain non-fat yogurt and 1 cup of self-rising flour. Giving a stir to mix it together. And then after I mix this together in the bowl, I am going to knead it with my hands and make it into a ball of dough. On a lightly floured surface, I'm going to place my ball of dough. I'm gonna put a little flour on here. It's kind of sticky. I'm going to cut this into 4 pieces. I'm gonna roll each one into a ball. And now I'm gonna attempt to roll it into an egg shape. I don't know how this is gonna go. It may not be very egg shaped. Oh, I'm so not good with doing shapes. I need a cookie cutter. Now I'm gonna place it in a non-stick skillet on medium-high heat, and it is going to cook for a few minutes, and I'm gonna let pieces of it get almost charred. Meanwhile, I have melted 1 tablespoon of salted butter. To this, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of olive oil and 1 large clove of garlic. The recipe says to take the clove of garlic and grate it. So if you have a fresh clove of garlic to grate, that's actually how the recipe states it. I don't, so I went ahead and used a little bit of minced garlic. I'm sure garlic powder would be good in this too. Oh my, this is perfect. I'm gonna place this on a plate and put another one on. I think this one looks more egg-shaped than the first one, don't you? While the naan is piping hot, I'm gonna take some of this garlic butter and I'm gonna put this over the top of each one as I take it out of the pan. Look at that. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you can tell or not, but it is steaming from that butter. Oh man, this is just gonna melt in my mouth. And if you have it, you can sprinkle these with parsley. 1 naan is 5 points. I have all of the recipes linked below. Which one are you gonna try first? Here's 2 more Weight Watcher videos for you to enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon.